Hello again, this is UML Operator. All right, I thought I'd take a break from current content creation and talk about how you can learn modeling, not just Sparx, UML, BPMN, but any modeling. I'm focused on computer-aided software engineering, trying to get to some more advanced subjects in this channel, but we have to get the basics out of the way. So trying to speed things up a little bit for you and help you increase the learning curve so that you're able to hit the ground running and we're able to keep up, all right? So yeah, I said it. It's hard to consume this information. I'm trying to tell people that I'm working with that, hey, you have ChatGPT. If you're not using ChatGPT, something's wrong with you. And I'm not talking about Google's version or Bing's version. I'm talking about OpenAI's version. 3.5, it's free. Probably shouldn't have said something's wrong with you, but it is what it is, all right? So last year I showed you all in Sparx Enterprise Architect, they do just an amazing job of helping you progress. So you have the ability to go to create from patterns, you can add diagrams, you can get guidance across various subjects. But let's look at create from patterns. And let's go, since we're focused on BPM, we're just going to search BPM and they give you some topics. So here's your BPL 1.1 starter model. We covered that earlier. Here's your BPMN series. You're from your starting process diagram all the way through processing with lanes, pools and lanes, getting into choreography diagrams is what we're talking about right now. They just do an excellent job of explaining. Now, granted, yes, their reference links, their help center might be a little bit complicated. A lot of people have been complaining about that, but I try to help you along, get you to the right areas. So we're focused right now on BPMN. And I'm just going to be talking about BPMN here, learning. But these wizards, these patterns that they give you to actually start, like let's look at a black box collaboration diagram. So we've talked about pools and lanes, right? I've shown you models, whether it's done in Camunda or done in Sparx, that you utilize your pools, bring them into other models, and yeah, they're black box. You can't see what's in them. If you're looking at a white box, a similar model, you're able to see, oh, this is what's going on in this particular pool or this particular lane. So it steps through different types of modeling approaches, white box, black box, gets into conversation modeling, and provides you a great deal of information for you to read and get started on. Now, when you're doing this, and let's just create, let's go for white box, 2 participant. We're going to come down here. We're in our BPMN2. You have your own training folders and things you're learning on. Let's just go ahead and let the wizard create these models for us. And let's take a look at the results when we're done. So it names it. Thank you for doing that. Names it the 2 participant collaboration white box. You go into it, you have your business process composite element. So you know that with the horizontal 8, the infinity sign, you're able to assume that there is a constructive model underneath it. And in this particular case, we have a pool, 2 pools, and within pool 2, we have 2 lanes. And we're able to look at a white box 2 participant collaboration. Now, I'm going to go to one of my workspaces that I share with you in previous videos. This is properties, notes, and inspector. So when you're learning yourself or even developing your models, I like to have properties to the right of my work area here, my drawing space, if you will. And I'm able to look at the properties that are here. I have inspector and trace right here. I have it on trace right now. This should be default in the browser window. You should have inspector automatically brought up for you. If not, I show you how to get to inspector. And I show you how to manage inspector, right? But we're in trace right here, and I have notes down here, right? So the thing that you may not get when you're using the wizard and it's creating these is you're not getting some of the detailed property information. But this is where ChatGPT comes in. This is where AI comes in to assist you and augment your journey in learning. And let's take a look at use of ChatGPT in understanding what's going on here in Sparx or within a particular subject area like BPMN. Before we get to ChatGPT, let's look at something you probably should do first as you're going through this learning experience. Sparx provides you a wizard to generate a BPMN glossary, right? They give you some, I want to say some material to help understand what you're getting ready to do, some other reference material. I'll let you click through that yourself. But let's go ahead right in this namespace here, this package. Let's create a BPMN glossary, right? So I'm going to hit create. It's going to ask me, hey, where do you want to go? This is it. There it's going and it's generating it. And then boom, we have a glossary. It's in a specification manager type view, alphabetical order. You're able to, set some status, highlight some things, even set your own difficulties if you wanted to in priority and learning. But look at this. It explains what is choreography, right? It explains the different definitions that I've tried to explain over the course of this series on BPMN. Now, it doesn't go into great detail, but it certainly gives you an understanding of the basics, what normal flows, partner process, what a pool is, what a lane is, a start event, and I could go on and on. I'll let you create your own and click through it. But as you're going through this material, and then over here in this package namespace, you have each element. So let's go to decision as an example, right? So we're in decision, and we want to look at this from a diagram or an individual perspective. So we can right click on this. Let's just go into the properties. I'm not going to create a diagram on it. So we're in this, we're able to extend these notes in our definition. We're able to add file links, whether they're local files or they're on the web, to additional information. Maybe it's my videos, maybe it's to other subject areas to help you in your learning, help you and your client stakeholders or your modeling team to learn. That's a better way of putting it. So just like any other element in Sparx, you can extend these elements, bring them into models, and talk more about them. Explain what an element is and why you're using it in a particular model for the folks that are interested in it. Now, throughout this series on BPMN, we've created a types library. And there's various types that we want to define within our modeling exercises. Typically, I'll come in and put in some generic types in, and I'll explain what they are to my stakeholders before we actually go through and start defining to some level of detail the metadata, the properties of each type. And then when we get to the actual diagram, we are able to understand the types that we may be associating to each one of the elements within a particular model. And as you all know, this is a choreography diagram. So I'm going to go to my properties, notes, and inspector view again. And in this, I'm able to select an element, and then I'm able to see the properties to the right of the work area, the drawing area, the diagram, right? And I can see the notes, and I'm able to use inspector to look at either detailed metadata, properties, things that are associated to each element, or I'm able to bring up trace and understand the relevance, the relationships between the elements. Do that very quickly. However, many folks are having trouble understanding, well, what's this loop type mean? And what happens when I select it and I've got these choices, none, standard, multi, things that I've talked about, as well as other properties that are in here. What's a participant? These kind of questions that your stakeholders and yourself, your modelers, may have on each one of the elements. Well, let's look at ChatGPT to help us further define what each one of these properties are. So here we are in ChatGPT, chat.openai.com, right? And please note down at the bottom, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Consider checking important information, and it can make mistakes. I've been using it now for, well, since the beginning, and I'm able to contribute back to saying, hey, I didn't quite like that answer. That's not quite right. Here is, my answer, my view, my thoughts. So the world has been contributing back to this platform to generate better intelligence. Again, it's not perfect, but let's ask a very simple question here. Let's ask, what is BPMN? All right, don't need a question mark, doesn't even need to capitalize it. And it will come back here and it will tell you what business process modeling notation is, and even give you some more information. And if you thumbs down it, bad at response, it gives you an opportunity to kind of explain it. And if you don't want to read everything,
BPMN stands for Business Process Model and Notation. It's a graphical representation standard for specifying business processes in a workflow. BPMN provides a set
and of course you can stop it at any time, right? And you can copy the information from here and you can paste it into your own knowledge base, or you can come back over to your glossary if you have that still up, and we do. And there's not a definition here for BPMN specifically, but for business process management. And you can see it's pretty short. It just tells you what the acronym means, doesn't tell you what it is. So, hey, here's an opportunity to add your own glossary item if you want to what BPMN is. Let's look at some properties that are more complicated within the elements that we're talking about and to help us in our learning. So we're on the same page. Let's go back to the wizard. We're going to create from pattern. Let's just pick this one, business process diagram and lanes. We're going to go to the folder in the namespace we want to create this, and we're simply going to select create models. And it'll go through and it'll build this model view for you. And again, you can always come back here, read some knowledge out of Sparx knowledge base on this particular pattern, right? So now let's open this. And we're going to open the diagram under the composite element, and here we go. Now, I like to go to my workspace layout that is property, notes, and inspector. And I show you how to set these up in previous videos. So I've got properties again to the right of the diagram. So we're going to select an element and we're going to look at the properties. Now, by default, it comes up as a start element. It's focused on the start element properties. If you want to look at the base element, you can certainly go here, understand what a category value is. And again, what I've shown you in other videos, if you select the triple dots, it goes down and shows you what Sparx is filtering on. The type is class type element, and the extension, that could be a lot of different things. Most important is the stereotype, category value. And so when we go in and we look at if anywhere in your modeling project that you have a types library, you'll be able to pull that element up, but that's not what we're focused on right now. So let's say you want to know what a category value is. Well, let's bring up ChatGPT and ask. Now, most of the time, because we started an AI conversation around BPMN, it knows, well, this is what you're focused on in this particular chat session. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just going to type in the thing that we want to know about. And again, it doesn't matter if it's all caps. You can certainly do the camel expression, category value, all lowercase, or even category space value, but let's type it in just as it is. I always do that. Now, it's basically stating that it seems like you've entered category value without any context. Would you please give more information? So in this particular case, yes, we've got to go in, and again, let me just do it all lowercase. BPMN, what is category value? And again, I'm going to have it all lowercase. And now let's see what kind of response. So it basically starts to explain what category value is within the context of business process modeling notation. And again, if you wanted to read it back
in
to you.
BPMN, Business Process Model and Notation, category value is not a standard.
So this can confuse people. What do you mean? I just asked about BPMN. It's not a standard. Well, in Sparx, it is a standard. It is an extension of their model-driven generation of BPMN, and therefore the notion of category value is actually used in BPMN. It's just that AI doesn't seem to know that at this point. And we can certainly say, yes, it is a part of BPMN, or we do the right thing and we go and we validate with, the standards board, OMG, the Open Model Group, or other standards material that's on BPMN, Business Process Modeling Notation, and we do a search and inquiry, and they can contribute that back to OpenAI if you wish to, all right? So there's one example. Let's pull up another one. All right, let's move over in the model here to gateway, right? And let's look at gateway type. And then let's go to chat and ask, what is a gateway? And then, keep the lowercase. We're going to do, just put it together with no space and see what kind of answer we get. So you start to see here that the AI, you're talking about BPMN, and it will explain to you what a gateway type is. It has some good intelligence in here and will better explain what an exclusive gateway is, if I've done inclusive, as I've done as well, parallel, etc. Gives some really good information. They used to have thumbs up or thumbs down. You agreed on it. Now it's just, hey, it's a bad response. And if you think it's a bad response, don't be bashful. You can certainly regenerate, and it may give you, it's going to go through and give you a second opinion. Not sure whether it's doing that right now. I hope it's not, because I didn't mean to click on that. You could give it bad response, and let's see what happens. And then it's saying, well, why do you believe it's a bad response? And you can provide more information, all right? So I definitely want to close that because it's not a bad response. I think it's a good response. So how can I change that? I don't think it's a bad response. So I'm going to hit regenerate here. Now it's going to regenerate. And you get an opportunity when it's done to respond again. All right. So hopefully it didn't think that I thought that was a bad response. Let me go back to the first response. And then what I want, not actually correct. No, I really don't want to. I want to kind of reverse my response, change my mind. No, there's nothing in there. Normally I don't do that over the year or so that I've been using this. And even before that, it gives you the opportunity to cite what you believe is the proper response. So I may be thinking about version 4, which I also subscribe to, but that costs you some money. Free version just works just fine. All right. So here's another example, and I could go on and on. You can go gateway direction, mark visible. You can look at activities and say, well, activity type. We're going to come over here and just type in activity type, and then I'm just going to put a space in it this time. So it knows that, hey, you must be still talking about BPMN, and it basically is explaining various types, but is it really around activity type? So let's see if we get a different response if we just do something like this in Camel, see if we get a different response than we have above, right? So there it is giving us a different response around activity type as a category within BPMN. And this response I certainly would take. So there's some examples of how to use it. I normally, when I'm asking questions and it's dipping through its world knowledge, it looks at the type as it's defined either within Sparx, because you can even go in Sparx EA, what is BPMN, right? So let's do that in Sparx. And again, I don't need to, what is BPMN? Oh, I have a better one. What is BPEL, right? So, hey, in Sparx stands for blah, 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 etc. Gives you a good response. And it can all be specific, also be specific to Sparx Enterprise Architect or Camunda or Lucidchart or whatever tool that you're using out there. Visual Paradigm's another good one to use when you're doing your modeling. So anyways, that's ChatGPT. Let's wrap up. I hope this video has helped you. I've tried to make some mistakes that were commonly made using different forms of asking a particular question, whether you're putting a space between certain terms or you're putting the full term in using camel or caps or things like that to see what kind of responses. You can certainly come up here and resubmit your question. I'm going to cancel out of it. You can contribute back. I'm not sure whether they're still doing that in the free version, but you can certainly say bad response if you believe it is, and then say why you believe it's a bad response. And hopefully AI is checking the folks that believe they're more intelligent than the rest of the folks out in the world, and using that to judge the responses that they're giving to others for very valuable questions. So again, I hope this video is helpful for you. We'll continue on with this series. And I just wanted to explain why I'm saying, hey, if you're not using ChatGPT, something's wrong with you. I wanted to be very clear on that and help you educate yourself in all areas of technology or the subjects that are important for you. So thanks again for watching this. Until the next time we meet, happy modeling.